That was really bizarre. Hey there. Sorry about that. I had to restart the stream. Um, Maybe it was some sort of ghost. Well, definitely welcome, and happy Friday. I just wanted to creep up on this little hotel here that they're about to demolish. Somewhat historical. The main house, which you can see peeking over there, has been around since 1905. It started off as a house, became a motel, kind of a motel of ill repute, surrounded by bungalows. It's been in a lot of TV shows in the 70s and 80s. Rockford Files. Hey, Carriopolis, happy Friday. We're gonna do the sunset walk. I just wanted to start early because there was a guy in town that used to run, whoa, check out these insane clouds. Right over there is the Crossroads of the World, which is like the first outdoor mall, maybe in the world, but in Los Angeles. I mean, a mall is what we know it. All right, the Hollywood Center Motel. So the guy that runs or used to run those Hollywood Unalive tours. Hey DC, I saw he had a thumbnail, and this place is actually going to be demolished. It's in a million TV shows. It's an original house from 1905, when the houses were all still wooden. The 7-Up machine is iconic. If I had room for that, I would buy it. Anyway, I don't think it's been open for 15 or 20 years, so they're gonna tear it down and make room for something new. But it's unfortunate because it's pretty historic. We are walking this. Let me know if you can now hear me. Let me know if the sound came back on. Sorry, I got a phone call that I had to take, which cut the sound off. Yay! Joe lost my link because I had to restart it for some reason. So we just walked by this motel, the Hollywood Premier, not the Hollywood Premier Motel, the Hollywood Center Motel, and they're tearing it down. It's been in Rockford Files, TJ Hooker, I think Pretty Woman too. It's known as the MUR ER Hotel. There's a missing letter, it's D. So I just wanted to start off here at Hollywood High School. This is Hollywood's first high school, built in 1905. It's a pretty cool building. There's a lot of people that, a lot of famous people graduated from it. I think we're gonna take a look at a mural of some of them. Carol Burnett, Judy Garland, John Ritter, Brandy, and other people that we'll say are before my time. Although I suppose Judy Garland is before my time. It is really beautiful in Los Angeles today. It's unfortunately for me one of those days where if I'm standing still, a coat is needed, or walking my dogs, I'm freezing. But right now, I had to wrap my coat around my waist. I don't really think this is the original auditorium for this high school. And I do think that if you probably were, I think it's on the other side of the building. This definitely looks like a 70s-ish or late 60s monstrosity. I mean, I love it. Oh, Cher, too, right? And Rudolph Valentino, that's kind of weird. I always think of him as being from somewhere else. And Lana Turner. Maybe she hung out at Schwab's a couple blocks away. I don't know who many of those other people are. It's from 2002. I think it was brand new when I was also new here. And so just a peek around the auditorium, and then we'll head back to, or hey, George, hey, sorry, the hola. John Ritter. So, in spookiness or mysteryness, no real tragedy happened here. I mean, other than just being a teenager that I know of. If you think about it, though, some tragedies surely came out of here. Sharon Tate also went here. And then Judy Garland. Hey, West Coast. Whoa, I love when people just inch on you when you're crossing. It's really delightful. Sorry. Thought he was going to hit my cough. All right. So this is like 1905. It's really like, looks like part of, some of the buildings are 1905 classic looking buildings. But it is Art Deco and Art Modern Streamline, I think, also. So if you look for ghost stories here, all you ever hear is singing in the auditorium. That could be Judy Garland, which I don't know why you would go back to high school and haunt it. And then cold spots, dark shadowy figures. So typical stuff, but nothing to back it up, because as I said, nothing really bad ever happened here. But let's check it out. So Grease, Pretty in Pink, Rebel Without a Cause, and Nancy Drew. I'm sure it was the modern Nancy Drew that it was in. Like that recent one, which I didn't watch. I don't know if any of you were Nancy Drew fans. So, iconic architecture, and it's a real high school just blocks away from Hollywood Boulevard, because you could see the Roosevelt behind it. So we started off with a hotel that is almost not there anymore. We're gonna walk up Sunset a little bit before we get to the next spot, which is a hotel that is not there anymore. We're gonna walk by In-N-Out Burger. After Crescent Heights, which is where we're heading, sort of, it gets a little more rock and roll with a dash of classic Hollywood. Oh, that definitely is modern, streamlined. The craziest thing is there's the high school, and I just remember there being a lot of strip clubs when I first moved here. The Budget Inn or the Hotel Hwood. Mighty Bull, happy Friday. Hey, Kasopi. Kasopi. Hey Brandon, hey Cecilia, happy Friday. So we're starting off our Sunset Strip walk. It's a little disjointed, but lateral. Hollywood High School, 1905. No bad things ever happened here. The only mystery is that Judy Garland. They hear haunting the auditorium. And what are those shadowy spots? Here's the plaque. It's a National Historical Monument. I hope this plaque is about the school. It may not be. Oh, it's a community mural. It celebrates the colorful tapestry of both Angelenos and Israelis. It's a colorful tapestry, that's for sure. Oh, I'm using Prism. I can see your chat, Kasapi. Joe's also watching it. Sometimes I miss stuff. I kind of wish, what was the clubs? The clubs that were on the corner of Highland? It was like the Seven Bales or something. I mean, I kind of live near Jumbo's Clown Room. I have never been. Yeah, I love Prism. I don't use their chat because it doubles up the YouTube chat. Here's In-N-Out Burger, you guys. not worth the wait for, in my opinion. If you visit California, definitely should try it out. But when you get it and drive it like 5 minutes away, it tastes not very good. The fries get bad pretty quick. Oh, that's great. Hey, unknown, happy Friday. We're walking the Sunset Strip, but we started at the hotel, the Hollywood Hotel, Hollywood Center Hotel, which they're tearing down. I thought we'd capture that before it's gone. I've been walking by that for years, and I saw this morning that they had a demolition sign. I could not ride the scooter and hold this and my notepad. I've only ridden a scooter once. When I used to live in this neighborhood, and the Galavan Chicken used to be an internet cafe. Never in my life had I needed an internet cafe till I went here, and so I thought it was going to be like, you know, like a Kinko's. It's kind of an insane place, full of actors and writers. I always leave the Prism thing for the end, so it is always presented by Prism. For sure. It's so great to actually be able to have that for free. I also usually put the link in my page description. We're heading that way. I'm walking all the way to La Cienega. Couple reasons why I started late. It's been rainy the past couple days, which I love, but I've also felt kind of crappy. So during the rainy days, I kind of didn't walk my dogs as much, so I was giving them a crazy ass walk. And fun stuff. And this will be really interesting when the sun sets, which is, you know, an hour or so. I did listen to KROQ. I don't ever listen to the radio anymore. I feel bad. I listen to WFNX, which is probably the East Coast version of KROQ, except maybe a little more English and less like the germs. Less germs and more 4AD. When I first moved here, I chipped my tooth and I needed to go to a dentist. This is after I first moved here. This is like 15 years ago. I wonder if the dentist is still up there. I should have known better. I mean, look at this is a plaza. Yeah, it's that dentist place. I bet if we go in there right now, they have the same pictures in the lobby. So I chipped my tooth. I didn't have a dentist out here. I think it was like 2008 or 9. So yeah, a long time ago, 17 years. Oh wow, time flies, so enjoy it. Anyway, so I go there, and the dentist is there. And the pictures of the clients that they have, because everybody has celebrity pictures here if they can help it, are literally like Joan Crawford. She'd been dead for 40 years. But it wasn't just a Joan Crawford picture, it was her in a top hat and tights from a movie called Circus of Blood. So KROQ was legend. Like anybody who'd ever visited California would come back, if they were cool, to New Hampshire and talk about KROQ. We had two kind of cool stations in New England. One was WFNX, 101.7, and then 104.1 WBCN. I don't know, WBCN got more. Here we go, the Seventh Veil. I wonder if this is still open. So it's funny because we're heading to the rock and roll part of Sunset Boulevard, and there's girls, girls, girls. I wonder if Motley Crue ever, or Guns N' Roses, I'm sure. What was your favorite band? Also, California music was different than East Coast music. I always remember hearing how huge Depeche Mode was in California, and they weren't so big in New England. And also I remember Morrissey, or the Smiths, being really big in California, and again, they were like unheard of in New England. Or, you know, everybody listened to music from the 70s growing up. I didn't grow up in the 70s. LA really has a rich and interesting musical history. I think the late 70s, where the punk and new wave scene starts happening, and I mean, is a really interesting time that people don't talk about as much. But there was some PG-13 going on here. I'm kidding. There was some shit going on here that just, oh no. It was a scene. Go-Go's, I mean, they weren't really punk, but they were kind of, right? We got X, the Germs, Joan Jett. I don't know if the Blackhearts came from here. And I know I'm not naming everybody really, but hey, Infinity. I was definitely more of an 80s kid. But I have a 70s sensibility, I think. I was raised like a 70s kid. We were pretty much free range. You've never seen Depeche Mode live? I thought you did. There are only two now. That's the Rock and Roll Ralphs, because we're in Rock and Roll Sunset Strip. We're not really at the Sunset Strip yet, but so we're kind of in West Hollywood now. That lady was on the bus with me. I took the bus today because I was afraid I was going to not make 3:22, my bump time. I think on Fridays, I might go a little bit later, like at 3:30, 3:22 instead of 2:22, because the sun is lower. The scenes are more beautiful as the sun sets. The Pinkberry, I think those all but disappeared after the owner beat to death. Oh, beat to unalive. Like a homeless person for touching his Tesla. Yeah, I didn't want to take the bus. I really don't love taking the bus. And I never take the bus down Sunset, so I wasn't even sure if it was going to drop me off at the right place. But it did. So, in the olden days, before the internet, this used to be where you get instruments. Sort of the beginning of the rock and roll area. Sam Ash, which was my favorite store, gone. They were so sweet and helpful in there. Thanks, Mickey. I think predominantly I'm going to look for places to eat that are outdoors only from now on. I really wanted to eat with you guys, but once I ordered and the restaurant kind of got full, I felt kind of stupid for asking to move my table. Sort of. I like electronic music. I think Joseph's our player. You know, as far as any weed shops in this area, they're going to be like twice as expensive as anywhere else because we are in West Hollywood. So, and personally, I don't know of any over here. I have my own shop in my neighborhood. And then there's a place downtown that sells organic, clean, not that I'm condoning anything, but yes, I will. I will give it a shot. So much like our Hollywood Walk of Fame, I'm going to stand in the shadows here. These are rock and roll greats. There are people looking at me like I'm a tourist. Don Lombardi. If anybody asks me what I'm doing, I'm going to say I'm visiting from Iowa. Look, it's Ozzy Osbourne. His hands are kind of small. Not a judgment. Not like Gary Clark's. Joe Cocker's hands are small too. Bob Seger. Maybe it's the cement. I always think that the footsteps look small in Mann's Chinese theater as well. I've seen Depeche Mode 4 times and groupied them 1 time. That's a story for my members. In fact, if Joe doesn't believe me, I have all of their autographs in the closet, all when they were alive, and they signed Susie Sue's face on the cover of I don't know what local magazine. But yeah, I loved Depeche Mode until Route 66. Then I took a hiatus. Once they got a little too guitar-y for me, hey Aaron, what's your favorite Depeche Mode album? I have to say, I haven't obsessively listened to the new one, but I've listened to it enough, and that first song, kind of heartbreaking in a way, was just so them. And then I heard a couple of other songs. It's on my, I almost said iPod. It's on my iPod. It's on my iTunes, but I haven't listened to it yet. Another album that creeped up on me like that was Violator. Yeah, Violator. I didn't love the Violator one, but I've learned to kind of appreciate it more because I think, Joe, you like the Violator. Wow. So I really love Construction Time again. Speak and Spell. The more like synthesizer sounding ones. And then I can't remember what is Never Let Me Down Again? What album is that? Because that was one time that I saw him, like a Black Celebration. I loved that. I also loved the fact that the album had all of those icons were embossed on it, so it was tactical, or tactile, not tactical. Oh, Music for the Masses, definitely. I did call it Black Celebration. Princess Di is wearing a new dress. Yeah, Exciter, you like. I've definitely gotten into it more because you've played it, but I never paid it any attention before. I just punched myself in the crotch. Oh. Ooh, we're gonna get to see some fancy cars now. We're getting into the fancy car area. Look at that. If anybody's interested, we can do a ride in one of those. I'm joking. I also remember, like, Dave Gahan did some tracks with Kruder Dorfmeister, which I thought was kind of a way that Depeche Mode should have evolved. Harmony Gold. I don't really know what that is, but it was deep. I mean, it is deep. He's still alive. He actually still looks kind of cool. You know, sometimes rockers start looking like they're trying to look like when they were in their peak. He kind of looks like he's aged in a cool way. I also really love Martin Gore had a solo album, which was fantastic. I always thought Martin Gore's voice was a really sweet sort of countenance to Dave Gahan's voice. And then don't get me started on Vince Clarke. I love Vince Clarke, for sure. Martin's got range and a little depth. Dave has the cold. I did not see them play 2 years ago. I've had the opportunity, the closest I've gotten to see Yaz play, or actually Depeche Mode I've seen a million times, but in the 80s, 90s, not a million times. But the closest I ever got to see Yaz play, I got to see Erasure play, and Erasure was like Alison Moyet kind of voice, but sometimes flat sometimes, and I really love Vince Clarke's music, but I didn't always like Andy Bell's treatment. I think at the time I hadn't heard a lot of stuff that sounded like it, but like in retrospect, listening to it, I wouldn't say I still listen to Erasure very often. Yaz I do. And my preferred Yazoo or Yaz album has got to be You and Me Both versus Upstairs at Eric's. Why? Because you have heard so many songs from You and Me Both so many times in so many commercials that I feel like I've heard them too many times. Hey, Larry Evans. We are just happen to be talking about rock. Well, not rock and roll, but synth rock and roll. But we are going to be talking about rock and roll. We're on the Sunset Strip. We've already started, more or less, but we haven't started with any of the rock and roll stuff. We just walked through the old music district. And now we're heading towards the Garden of Allah, which isn't there anymore. We actually started at a hotel that they're going to tear down, the Hollywood Center Hotel, built in 1905, known as the MURD. You know the rest of the letters, hotel. Pretty cool. I love Gary Newman. Although Gary Newman politically, during the Thatcher era, I had a problem with him. The Nightmare on Elm Street house is... Yeah. You want to see it? Because I don't mind walking there. We're not going to... the guy that lives there is not very happy with people looking at the house, unfortunately. I think he bought it 2 years ago. There's a video or a TikTok of somebody going to the house and she's like, you should open the house up to all sorts of people to have a party. I would do that if I lived here. And he's like, F you. And then she was being sweet, but I don't want to judge somebody, but kind of ignorant. This guy doesn't want to have a Freddy Krueger party at his house. It's mostly covered up. In order to scare people away, the last time I was here, he had a big Kamala Harris sign up. And I'm joking. But it's a bummer because I think somebody who would embrace the spirit should live here. Which would be the case for the people so the first Nightmare on Elm Street had Johnny Depp in it. We'll talk about Johnny Depp again when we get to the Viper Room. So Johnny Depp was her neighbor in the movie, or lived across the street from her in the movie. And that house, they decorate for Halloween. You can see it. Here's the Freddy Krueger house right on the left. The original one. There are two. They also have a swing set out there, so I feel a little creepy. So that was it. And that house over there, I think that was Johnny Depp's house in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And there were a couple of other houses in this neighborhood from that movie also. What kind of pickup truck? I'm guessing it was the Prius. I'm hoping it was the Prius. Oh, good. We've had a couple car chases this past week. I seem to catch the end of them. I literally have been just sleeping a lot the past 2 days. This is the first year I didn't get the flu shot. I don't think I got the flu, but psychologically I think I got the flu. And I've been walking through the city, spreading it. You can call me Flu Nose Frankie. I'm kidding. It feels so normal, and then right up on the corner, debauchery. We're back into rock and roll. Well, maybe another block or two. Actually I shouldn't say this, a Prius hit me in July. And They dented my car barely, but of course it still cost $3,500 expletive dollars, right? And like I literally, I peeled the front of their car off. Like, they just got caught on they were trying to cut me off. Actually, they were trying to get into the same lane as me, but while I was still in the lane next to them. So their front fender caught on my car as I sped up, and it just peeled and smashed their car. I was so pissed. Uh-oh, air quotes. You know that's serious. So, Cecilia, this building is pretty new up here. We're almost at Crescent Heights, right where the Crate and Barrel and Trader Joe's are. Sometimes I'm happy to have a truck-ish thing. Via Rosa. I'm sure this has got some fantastic story that I just don't know. I don't usually walk this way or talk this way. Speaking of Aerosmith, so I thought this is a really great grocery store, really expensive grocery store. I don't know how fabulous a party spot this is anymore. Like when I first lived here, it was still definitely like slamming. I remember, I think there was a place called the Pink Taco, or Pinches? No, Pink Taco. And I went to a couple times. Hey, Ty! We're really happy you stopped in. Good to see ya. Happy Friday. Always a Tesla driver. Well, the next time you come, you're gonna have to definitely cruise down the Sunset Strip. It's a little nicer drive when it's not so cold. That Rite Aid is brand new. It has a brand new sign. It's super fancy. You would love it. So, I forgot what this building is. The Directors Guild of America. They show movie premieres there. I saw a movie premiere there once. Then after I went to a party over here at the Chateau Marmont for that movie. And sometime I'll tell you a really good story. I was standing in the aisle, well, I'll tell you right now, I was standing in the aisle and somebody like jammed their finger in my spine and said, "Move." And I turned around and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to chat. We really appreciate the support. And I saw Keira Knightley, maybe. It was a long time ago, so I may have remembered who the woman was, but it was like Harvey Weinstein jamming his finger in my back to get me to move. There's the Laugh Factory. I don't know if you've heard of this place, but they haven't made laughs there for a while. I'm joking. Oh, hey Marie. It's 64. It might say partly cloudy, but it is not. It's pretty blue skies. We are walking away from the Chinese theater today, but there's a very good chance that I'm just going to go to Hollywood tomorrow. So subscribe. We live in that area, so we like to go there. A lot. These are all famous billboards. If you look from like the 60s and 70s, the Marlboro billboard used to be here with the Marlboro Man. Really, you know what, when I look that way, I do see clouds. Is that right over my apartment, that giant cloud? There used to be a Virgin Records here when I moved here. I think this area has hedonism in its roots. I think Hollywood has hedonism in its roots and wildness in its roots. In New York, when people got together, it was the Algonquin Round Table. Here, when they got together, it was an incident covered up by your publicity agent. A publicist is what I meant to say. And I think the hedonism definitely starts before we hit this place in the history of this town. But I think the kind of Hollywood hedonism begins at this place that isn't there anymore. I mean, the Doors kind of made Sunset, right? They weren't reading poetry. They were the house band. Or they were getting kicked out of a hotel for dangling off the balcony. Well, not all of them, just Jim. So there's no plaque here where this barricade is. But this used to be the Garden of Allah, which was like apartments. This lady shouldn't cross when there's a green arrow. I got scared. I shouldn't say that out loud. It used to be apartments that were built by a silent movie star, Alla Nazimova. And the people that lived here were famous and cool, and the cool, famous people of their time, right? So it was kind of our Hollywood Camelot. So they tore it down to build a bank, which was here until very recently. Like Gogi-looking bank. Actually, there were two banks here. It was a WAMU when I first moved here. I don't know what it was most recently. So the barricade's not that interesting to look at. There is a replica of it at Universal Orlando for some reason. It's called the Garden of Allah. It's gone, but I kind of find the history of things pretty fascinating. So, kind of like Garbo lived there, blah blah blah. Errol Flynn. Oh look, there's a miniature Hollywood sign in case you were interested. All right, we have the famous Chateau Marmont. This is built in 1929, the year of the Depression. I'm not sure if it was built as a hotel or a residency, and they flopped it during the Great Depression. But Led Zeppelin, Morrison, Marilyn, Gabo all lived here. I heard that Betty Davis fell asleep with a cigarette and burnt down her hotel room here. That doesn't sound like her. Helmut Newton, sorry, crashed his car there in 2004. And then, of course, John Belushi OD'd here, which is really sad. I'm just pausing for a second. I mean, the historical significance of this building is that it was a hideaway. It was the place to go if you wanted to do something and not get caught. You can't take pictures in there. And it's fascinating. I've been there twice. Once for that party where I got poked, and then another time a friend had a suite there and we had a party probably on that one with the awning right there or somewhere. So Howard Hughes also used to spy on starlets from the attic here. And then supposedly Led Zeppelin rode their motorcycles through the lobby. And then James Dean allegedly jumped through a chateau window to audition for Rebel Without a Cause. Anyway, we're moving on. I think I'm losing my signal here. I think the famous people in the past are more interesting because we just only know very little bit about them, right? So we can't watch them go to Starbucks or go to, like that, buddy, or go to Target, or, like, also, I don't know. Stupid internet kind of took away the mystery. Although, look, here I am on the internet. The next place we're going is to 8280 Sunset. So I have got to keep my eyes peeled for that. Okay, I don't know if you always needed talent. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Ooh, who is there's a big artist in the 30s that was sleeping with somebody, and that was the only reason she was famous. Did I miss my 8280? Oh, I'm so far away. I forgot how spread out this one was. So here again, girls, girls, girls. Body shop, 18 and over. I watched something about Louis B. Mayer the other day. speaking of casting couch and MGM, and I knew he was born in Russia. I never realized he lived in New Brunswick and then moved to Massachusetts, and how poor his family was. We're getting close. Wow. So this 8280 Sunset, I'm sure you heard of this before. Well, let's just walk by. That's the Trocadero. Or actually, it is sort of the remake of the Trocadero. It opened in 1934. There's someone kind of hanging out there. So it opened in 1934. Colonial Revival building, remodeled in Art Deco? I don't think so. It was originally opened by the guy who owned the Hollywood Athletic Club. We're gonna keep walking. We just hit Sweetser Avenue, which is just kind of get a really nice view. I think there are so many times when we needed to be tough. Depression, depending on your socioeconomic or racial background, times have been tougher. And remain tough. This was the standard for a while. We're in West Hollywood, if I haven't told you already. Well, I'm trying to get the address of this guy, because this might be (83858401) Sunset 8349. Oh, depression is a bitch. Not our hotel, thank goodness. So the next hotel I want to talk about, this is the Riot House up there. You can just see the Andaz with English actress peeking out there. So the Andaz, West Hollywood, it's a place to stay still. It was the first high-rise on the Strip. We've got some sun glare, so I was trying to not get the sun glare. It is legendary. It was originally Gene Autry's Continental, but in the 60s it earned its moniker as the Riot House, hosting rock bands. I think its design was kind of chic and modern at the time. It's giving me dated vibes right now, but I'm not at the front of it yet. And stories of this place are rock and roll legend, from Led Zeppelin riding motorcycles in the hallways again. They really rode a lot of motorcycles in hallways. And throwing TVs out the windows. Jim Morrison lived here and was evicted for hanging off the balcony, which I don't even see the balconies anymore. Bowie, Little Richard, Elton John, all stayed here. Not much to look at, I don't think. This is the Sunset Tower, lovely Art Deco hotel, not on our tour today, but worth a look. They're not honking at me. It's a little Las Vegas-y. It definitely looks 1964. Oh, it looks like they've also sort of accepted their Riot House Monica. So I really love to cross the street, but I'm not really sure what's going on in the crosswalk here. So we're gonna cross the street and go to Ciro's, the Comedy Store. This place is supposedly haunted. There's Saddle Ranch. That's another hangout spot. I think that place is still pretty building. Hey, still pretty cool. Hey, Mary. Oh, jeez, Louise. My camera did not catch that. And I am going to cross this street now. I don't really know what happened there or whose fault it was. We're gonna move on. Hey, back in the clay. Again, every time something insane happens, I'm just not looking at it. But we're not here to talk about how bad drivers are in LA. So, it looks like the Toyota won this time. Oh. I'm pretty sure it was the Mercedes driver doing something stupid. Because they were pulling a U-turn. Or maybe they weren't pulling a U-turn. Anyway, who cares? I hope they're all okay. So this is the world famous Comedy Store. I wish I could walk up this street. I can walk up this street. We'll walk up over here a little bit. Bum-ba-dum. You can't really see the design of this building anymore, but it's also streamlined modern. You can kind of tell by the curves. So this building was Ciro's nightclub, which was kind of Hollywood's golden era. The rumor is that I'm not trying to be a gossip channel here. Wait, quick, look at that Art Deco building. How awesome is that hotel? Anyway, back to Ciro's. The rumor is that Mickey Cohen was part owner in this place, and so Mickey Cohen we talk about all the time, part owner in this place, and so it had some gang ties and some gang business was taken care of in the basement. But in the 70s it became a comedy club, and Robin Williams. Robin Williams and Richard Pryor, David Letterman and Jim Carrey all got their starts, or not their starts, but they all performed here. This is Katana. I think this is not an old building, actually. But it's kind of fun. Plaza del Sol. I'm right. Oh. There we go. We are on Queens Road in Sunset. I walk really fast. This is supposed to take 90 minutes. And I even added I started at an earlier hotel. I'm gonna try to slow down a little bit. Look, there's a Cartier ad. I was recently, look at that crazy, you can't really see that view. I was recently in a car listening to a story on the radio, NPR of course, and it was literally about Johnny Carson and how awful he was, or not a nice guy he was. I always kind of liked Johnny Carson, and I never got that vibe from him. I always thought he might be a little bit jerky, but I always kind of liked Johnny. Here's Pink Dot. We are definitely going to loop around and walk down La Cienega at sunset, I think. I hate walking in these stupid things. I'm going to wait for these people to come through. Yeah, this has always had a lot of ads, but I feel like there are more. And they kind of take over the buildings. You know what, I always kind of knew Jerry Lewis wasn't nice. Like, I got that feeling from him. I don't want to be mean, or like a Bill Cosby I never liked when I was a kid either. There was something patronizing about him, I kind of felt like. I missed it. There are so many bad Kobe murals though, like some where his poor bald head just looks deformed. But they're all loving tributes, so I try to accept it. It's always, this sounds really horrible, and I really try not to be negative, but it's always kind of affirming when you find out that somebody you just never liked was not good. Like, I couldn't get it why I didn't like him. Except for in the cartoon. I loved that cartoon. I don't like Adam Sandler either, but he's not a mean guy. Well, I don't know that. I just don't like the voices he does. But we all have different people that we like. You know, I like Sarah Silverman, and I know she's a hard pill for people to swallow. I find her irreverence to be funny. Here's the Skims store. What's gonna open up? Why is it covered with mushrooms? Here's Mel's Drive-In. Rock and roll, man. Did you see that pink guitar? Hey JK, we are at Sunset Plaza, Sunset Strip area. We are checking out the Viper Room next. If you know me, I haven't walked too far, which it's entirely possible. And also they're going to tear it down anyway. And I did. So we'll roll back to that because we're going to go down La Cienega. Yo! Well, I'm not smoking. There's the office from the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm just kidding, but it kind of looks like it. This is a really shishi place to eat, by the way. I have a vape pen, and it's the lowest percentage you can get. I plan on going to 0 and then not vaping at all. The vape pen and actually CBD have helped me to quit smoking completely. I'm at 1.8%. I have Andy Warhol. I really love smoking though. I'm not condoning it. No one should smoke. We know better now, but that was the past tense. Loved smoking. So to get from hotel to club here is really just a couple blocks, minutes in a car. Walking, it's a little bit different. So we're going kind of in reverse order. Trying to get to the Whisky A Go-Go. Oh. Oh. We're gonna cross the street at this light. Hiya! Hey! Always friendly in Hollywood, right? We're right over here. I love when people are friendly. And don't give me the stink eye, because they thought they were gonna leave their house and not be filmed in Los Angeles. I had a friend, Kate, in high school, and this is before cell phones, and people had pictures all the time, but she was like, you never want to look like crap because you never know when someone's going to catch you. I think it's more appropriate nowadays, but now I don't care if I look like crap. It was very cute. Good kids in Hollywood. Some good kids. I have no idea how old they were, though. Like, they could have been anywhere from 16 to 20. It looked like they were staying at that hotel. I hope they have a chaperone. I've seen so many car accidents happen right here, and by that I mean like 3. I remember that happening, Larry. I did not live here, but like he was kind of, I said this the other day, and I don't mean to diminish the legacy of anybody else, but he was kind of like the sort of James Dean of the 80s. And if you haven't thrown up yet, the Tower Records is now a Supreme store. I want to cross the street also because we've got to talk about Book Soup. So Larry Evans, let me say, so I was reading about the Viper Room and the night it happened, and so the story goes that his brother and sister, the Jacqueline, and I don't know the sister's name, wanted to go to the Viper Room, which is right up here. And he did not, but they were underage, so that was how he was gonna get them in. And River Phoenix, I'm talking about. So he wasn't gonna go, and then somebody from Red Hot Chili Peppers said he could play guitar with them. He came down, got them in, was told they didn't have a spot for him to play guitar. A guitarist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers gave him a drink with the cocaine and stuff in it, yeah. And so, I don't know, I'm not saying anything, but that kind of feels like MUR and you know the rest. Like, not an OD. Nobody would willingly do that. The Whisky A Go-Go was actually a bank at one time. That's what it started its life out as. But almost every cool or famous act of the 70s and 80s played here. The Doors were the house band until Jim Morrison got them kicked out again for swearing. Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix also played it here. And all the rest. I'm sorry. That's incorrect. We went in the wrong order. I was reading the Whisky Go-Go. Still opened as a bank. That much I remembered. Did I miss the cross? I'm gonna do it. I keep spacing out. I went out of order, so I read stuff out of order. Oh, there we have the Viper Room. You know, to this day, people still claim to hear his ghost outside. I don't really know how that's possible. And then the one really kind of creepy, weird, mysterious. So Johnny Depp was part owner of this, by the way. In 2001, the other part owner of this mysteriously disappeared. I think they were entangled in a lawsuit about the profits, and he was going to testify against Johnny Depp, but he just kind of disappeared. Also, Oasis played here, and Johnny Cash, but definitely not Janis Joplin. That's the Whisky A Go-Go. I'm gonna make the complete block here. For sure. I think they're going to get rid of the Viper Room soon. Andares. So the building, the Whisky A Go-Go, is from 1923, and this is actually the bank. The other building was not the bank. Has an Art Deco facade. But it is a historic music venue, right? And as I said before about the Viper Room, which I was wrong, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, they all played here. This is the place that was the first American discotheque, actually. They had a female DJ on a riser in a cage spinning records, and in between the records she would dance. And so after that they installed cages with go-go dancers. Pretty cool. That's the end of Sunset. Let's walk back and check out wackiness we might have missed. So we also have a second Hustler Superstore here, because you need to. So this is a really rock and roll-y history area. Rock and roll history area. Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. I'm trying to... Ooh, we got one more place. I said Guns N' Roses and I forgot the Roxy. Were you a go-go dancer, Mary? I feel bad for this kid. I keep walking by him. One of my friends during the COVID, the lockdown, took go-go dancing lessons online. I'm a pretty good go-go dancer. The star of the real show is Britain. Oh, you don't have to go to... You can fly a broom in Great Britain? Sounds like Salem. I need to make a phone call up here. It's bigger on the inside, I've heard. All right, side by each, right? The Roxy and the Rainbow Room. Let me tell you about them, then I'll walk over there. I won't look like such a dork. This is a French Revival building, and you can kind of tell that from the eaves, if you will. It opened in 1973, sorry. I also wrote on both sides of the paper, which I don't usually do. And actually, the Rocky Horror Picture Show debuted here in 1974. And Tim Curry sang the sweet transvestite song which, to open. Also, Springsteen, Prince had secret shows here. Pearl Jam, because I know you like them, Joe, and Nirvana also played here. Next door to that is the Rainbow Room, or Rainbow Bar and Grill, sorry. Kind of the rock and roll diner. So this is a Tudor Revival building. It was opened in 1935 as a swanky Italian restaurant. I think that Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe had their first date here, but I think I've said that about 14 places in town. Maybe they went a couple places. There's also a mob hangout, as everything is on the street. Don't forget, I don't think it was until the late 70s that this part of Los Angeles was part of the city. So it could be a little like the wild, wild west over here. So there was a movie about Motley Crue called Dirt, and they actually filmed the scenes in that Rainbow Grill. There's also a second floor with a loft, an after-hours loft, which is kind of interesting. Oh, we'll cross. Somebody's playing there tonight. Rare Americans. Also, there's some punk, like X, I think, in the Germs, Whisky A Go Go, or at the Whisky A Go Go also. Well, building lacks any of its original architectural charm. purely functional. Also, the Roxy thing, marquee that sticks out, was not part of the original architecture either. And here's who we got. And there's the Rainbow Room. So there's really just a lot of rock and roll history over here from the 70s, 80s. And this area has its usual mobster ties, as does every part of unincorporated Los Angeles. So I'm sure there's bodies buried. No, but I know Henry Rollins, not personally. Oh, someone's practicing in there. Should we go in? It's the Rare Americans. You know what's really weird? So they tore down the House of Blues. And I feel like it was right where Great Britain is now. But because it's not there, and that's probably the last time I walked down this part of Sunset Boulevard. I'm a walker, but I just don't have a lot of cause to come over here. I have no idea where it was. I think that's got to be it. I only went there twice. That was my closest to rock and roll. I think I lived my most rock and roll-y time in Boston. My teenage years and 20s. So is all Susie Sue, 7 Seconds, The Pixies, Cocteau Twins, Depeche Mode. I can go on and on. Echo and the Bunnymen. But Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses are part of my life peripherally, for sure. So I kind of want to watch Dirt now, which is the Motley Crue movie. The Rat Cellar, yep. That was in Kenmore Square. I went to a couple places in Cambridge, actually. One was called Man Ray, and the other was... oh, I can't remember the other one. More like 3 places in Boston. One was like a place you could see music. Another one was a dance club. No, House of Blues was not original. I just remember where it was when what was the House of Blues before? Oh, shoot. Did I miss Book Soup again? I really want to talk about Book Soup. It didn't last for very long. How long was that House of Blues there? Whoops. And these guys, definitely you can get your Motley Crue tattoo here. Tattoo Mania. 8810. It's over here somewhere. I keep missing it because its sign is so pale. My room, 8810. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh my god, I loved going to the Coop, but also that Newbury Comics and Tower Records combo in Cambridge Square. Amazing. It was literally, you would go from one Tower Records and Newbury Comics on Newbury Street to the one in Cambridge Square if you couldn't find something. It's right over there. I see its yellow little sign. Also, there was a Best Baby Watson cheesecake there, and there was another place that I used to get this baba ganoush sandwich all the time from there. Every time I would go down, and also a Baby Watson cheesecake, tiny cheesecake. Too young. We lost it too early. So, Book Soup. It's been around since 1975. It's the bookseller to The Great and Infamous. I forgot to mention, the Rainbow Room had a lot more history. I keep calling it the Rainbow Room, but the Rainbow Grill. You know that the guy from Motorhead used to literally be in that bar every day on the corner drinking Larry Keemster used to be in there drinking a Jack and Coke all the time. So the Book Soup. Never write on both sides of paper, but I did, and I regret it. I keep going up Book Soup. Now I'm going in the wrong direction. So this building opened in like 1975. I mean, the building is from 1935, but in 1975 it opened as a bookstore, and that's pretty famous. We have events. They had a lot of really great readings here. Actually has a Jim Morrison connection also, not for the books, but for poetry. So this was also home to Cinematique 16, which was a psychedelic movie click that showed 16 millimeter films. So 16 millimeter films, psychedelic, LSD laced 16 millimeter films would be playing on these walls, and Jim Morrison actually gave a rare poetry reading in this building. This theater also was one of the first to screen Deep Throat during our porn chic era in Hollywood. So I think those were most of the highlights I wanted to see, plus one, and Freddy Krueger's house as an added bonus. But let me check. I'm going to plug in. We're going to keep walking. I've just got to charge up. Give me 1 second to jolt the camera. And maybe the mic just went off. Let me know. I'm gonna sit down for a second. To Book Soup, I could try. One second. Sorry. That looked like... Let me know. An external mic is disconnected. Hi, I'm really sorry it's gonna get loud. Let me know if that made it better. I'm hoping it did. All right. I'm hoping that just fixed our problem, but of course I made another one for myself. Da-da-da-da. Hang tight. Oh, shit. Sorry. Okay, that sound is better, I hope. I don't know what can YG means, but I'm just trying to get this thing back. Thing. Now the external mic is connected, all audio sources. Looks like we are good to go, but now we've got a crooked gimbal, which literally drives me crazy, so live makes fun stuff happen. I'm gonna straighten it out. I would love to go into Book Soup, but I'm having a breakdown here because my gimbal is crooked. And yeah, I could go right on Palm. I want to get an external mic is connected. All audio. Fa, 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 fa. And I think I connected. An external mic is connected. Okay. Can you hear me? Let me know. I think I'm in tight. All right, let me know if you can hear me. Sound is great. Am I actually charging though? Yeah, I am. All right, let me try to go on Book Soup and then I'll go right on Palm. If they try to kick me out, I'm just gonna pretend I only speak French. I will say, oh, okay. Thank you. I'm gonna stick my notebook in here. My steno notebook. So, I think it definitely used to be a lot bigger of a magazine stand here. Is it still out of focus? I can't tell. Or was it out of focus when it was on my jeans? I'm gonna walk in here. If they tell me I can't film, I'm gonna walk out. But I feel like it's obtrusive. I can't do it. Sorry. We'll go into the downtown one. There's too many people standing right by the door. Don't hate me for not going in. But Holloway Drive is here. And then Palm. I guess we'll look down Palm real quick. But my intention is to walk down La Cienega, of course. Oh my God, Larry Evans, you are very welcome. And I'm sorry for not going into Book Soup. I'm a man I like very little confrontation if I can actually help it. That newsstand is gone. That newsstand off Hollywood, Cecilia. That was huge. When I first moved here, there were so many newsstands. It was insane. I am definitely getting like hill walking today for sure. I love this building. Thanks, Aaron. So at this point, I could probably put my coat back on. I wonder where the two people who got in the accident are now. Oh my God, yeah, thank you so much for joining. I forget to do this, but I really appreciate if you like and subscribe. A little CTA. And also, Jackie and Shadow, their third eaglet is poking out of the egg right now, so looks like Jackie and Shadow are gonna have 3 eagles. Queen Bee Nail Hair and Salon. I almost got a drink at the Riot House. I'm kidding. Cupid lips. How cute is that little guy? can't wait to walk down the hill. That's the bus I took to get here. Well, not that one, but... Oh. I took I think the RTD bus also. I also took some bus to Montclair, which was a nightmare. You had to wait on Wilshire Boulevard, somewhere like low Wilshire Boulevard, but this is 20-something years ago. And it was at like an abandoned gas station. Or a gas station that should have been abandoned. Foothill Transit, yeah. Montclair, Claremont, they're kind of right next to each other. I thought you would be able to drive 50 miles in an hour. I didn't realize it would take 3 hours to drive to Beverly Hills every day. I didn't live in the inland very long. Driving, though, was terrible because I would fall asleep. So when I first moved here, this gas station was not there, but one of my coworkers told me that's Skid Row. It was not Skid Row, it was Wilshire Boulevard. So for a long time I thought it was not a very savory neighborhood. I thought that was like Skid Row. And I was only hanging out at a gas station waiting for a bus. Are we so excited that Suits it's gonna be back on? So here's La Cienega. I think it's gonna be cool to walk down this giant hill into West Hollywood for a little dip off the Strip. I think walking in LA doesn't know how they feel about going to Skid Row. We've gotten pretty close. What am I providing by going there? Like, this is a question I don't ever want to come across as exploitative, yeah. And I think it's a sad place to go. Like, we shouldn't be, I mean, it's been around forever. I mean, the whole history of that area is interesting, and if I could do something from a historical perspective, as to why that area has been that way for so long and why the Cecil Hotel is the way it's been for so long, I think I would approach it. I think that's a lot more like backstory and writing than I usually do. He's a little bigger than I am. I'm a little tiny guy. I could easily get taken out. I'm a petite gentleman of 5'11". I've streamed the water tank from the ground, but I'm not going to climb out a window. I'm not an adventure channel. But here I got a piece of gossip for you up ahead. I love this apartment building on the corner. A Hollywood starlet once unalived herself in this very building. Lupe Velez. I'd need like 7 people and maybe like some tasers. Also, like, is that a place like where people want to hide, you know, and not want to be filmed? Sometimes when I'm downtown, people will, you never see it because I never show it, but people will say things to me like that are really not nice or violent even. I just don't talk back. And it's a secret thrill, but I'm really not that slight as I mentioned. 5'11" is pretty tall. I'm just not that tough. Oh, the apartment, I forgot. Anyway, I just absolutely love this building. Thanks so much. Look at this. The Palazzo Apartments. I'm gonna walk up the stairs and maybe somebody will yell at me like the UPS guy. But maybe not. Sorry. Like, how lovely. Imagine opening those windows every day to, well, I guess the traffic below on Fountain Avenue, the Betty Davis shortcut. They are rentals. And from the looks of it, some people have lived there a very long time. Is that the cat from Gay Paris? Or the Aristocats? I would live here. The traffic is just really tough on this street. Like, it's a small street that goes 1 lane, 2 lane, 1 lane, 2 lane, back and forth. No one knows who you are or cares. They're smoking weed in the car and hiding their face. It's adorable. I told you I don't feel good today, so I'm crankers. It is, well, everything in this neighborhood is expensive, I'm sure. So that is a lovely building. Another one that I really like is our UPS truck again. Also, this is probably a neighborhood where a lot of people that are in the business of acting or whatnot, not really famous people, but sorty, kind of live. There's another Normandy, the Chateau Frontenac, not as grand as the Palacio, but I wouldn't mind if that were my little reading nook. And things for me though, is I just want to be able to sort of be outside, even if it's on a lip or a ledge or something. So we're in WeHo, but we're not in the cool part. We're above it, but we're not above it. I mean, we're above it, physically above it. All the fun clubs, not the Pink Pony Club that doesn't exist. They're all down there. I think Joe and I we could do a crawl one night where we walk that strip. We don't really drink, so, but let us know. I don't think anybody's gonna let me go into a club live streaming, but we'll do it on the street. It would also be fun to do it like towards closing, when people lose their inhibitions and get crazy. I used to go to Mickey's sometimes, and I used to go to the Abbey sometimes, but never really, really heavily. Because I've always lived on the east side, I got Akbar, and we go to the Eagle sometimes, and there used to be a club on Melrose, a really old S&M gay club, and now I can't remember what the name of it is. Oh, Rage, but that wasn't the place. Oh, what was it called, that place? I think Rage reopened, maybe as something else. One of the Backstreet Boys, the gay one, Fault Line, that was the club I used to go to. Also, I would go to the Fault Line because of an outdoor section. Look at that beautiful building up there. Also, the one in front of us is kind of stuccoed. Yeah, Deco Deluxe. I've been to Motherlode. Motherlode's just a bar though, right? Like a drinking bar. And the Gold Coast. Remember the Gold Coast? Yes. I thought it was Lance Pisces, but Lance Pesci? Oh, Lance Mayor Bass. I think that's what his name is. NSYNC. Did I say Backstreet Boys? You know the music I'm listening to in those days. Those are both bands that are out of my genre. Although I know, I could sing some of their songs. Never went to the Yukon Mining Company. Do you remember what was the restaurant place that you went inside and it was like a garden and you could eat at a gazebo, and they just closed it. And they had French onion soup, and all it, like you could eat in the center like you were in a garden. Hey, and around it were shops, Hollywood memorabilia, usually Judy Garland stuff. A French market, yes. I love this building also. It's just got a fresh coat of paint. It's like we're in Normandy here. Look at all these French architecture. So someone should call this phone number and find out how much the apartment is here for rent. I'm joking, but if you're looking for apartments in LA, this is the way to go. You call it with a number and not LA Rentals. That's like some older person that's had that building and probably doesn't know how much rent should be. I found my best places from signs. Like handwritten old people signs. Even when I lived in Boston, because in Boston you would they had like realtors that you had to go to sometimes. Do you think that we find these buildings so unique and beautiful because there aren't many around, or do you think we would be sick and tired of seeing them if every block was like this? I feel like architecture is such a trend that like we tend to throw buildings away because we're tired of them. It's really true in the case of Art Deco. I'm just reading about downtown Hollywood and the Art Deco buildings that they just tossed. I love this building too. I thought this was a for rent sign, but it's a private property sign. I got excited 2 in a row. I would call on this place. I would just want to be able to park my car in there and walk into that doorway. It's the Patio del Moro. Wow. It's Moroccan themed. They won't let me in though. It would be noisy. I lived on Fountain Ave, way just after Highland in a little house. It was noisy. You could never pull out. I had a driveway. You could never pull out because cars were always in the way. And when I lived there, the Circus nightclub was there. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, there was all kind of stuff happening. I lived, I know we talked about Tangerine a couple times, but I lived in that neighborhood that Tangerine takes place in, actually when that kind of stuff was happening. The Circus of Books is a nightclub. I thought it was just a bookstore. Circus of Books is important bookstore, I feel like, for gay history. I think bookstores, gay bookstores, were really important for gay history. I remember in Boston there was one, and I would be able to find books, literature there that you could not find. Swimming pool library, I remember I got there. It was nice to be able to find books about being gay, although that book was pretty sad. My Beautiful Laundrette also. I think I got that book there. That was pretty sad. It was good to be able to have a bookstore like that. And I think Circus of Books played a crucial role. In gay culture. I once got a running red light ticket at this camera here. I don't understand. Well, the bookstore in Boston didn't really have much pornography, actually. So I think the only book I ever bought at Book Soup was a book called Charlie. And it was pornographic literature from the 1970s. And I bought it because I'm Charlie. I never read it though. It also looked like me. They're the worst, but like, I would almost be more into reading something pornographic and using my brain versus just letting every image be dictated to me. All right, we should stop talking about this. We're definitely adult channel, but I don't think we're 21 plus. Okay, so now we are parallel to the Laugh Factory. I don't know if you remember that from our earlier walk. We've just done a big loop. No pedestrians here. This is Fountain. I don't know the exact question that was asked, but it was Johnny Carson and Betty Davis. And he asked her if she had any advice on shortcuts through Hollywood. I'm totally butchering this. And her answer was, take Fountain. So we make up the question, and that's the answer, and this is Fountain. So I for years have been calling this the Betty Davis shortcut. And for years, there was a beautiful sign with that thing on it. I'm sure I have a picture of it, but of course somebody tore it down. I'll post it when I get home if I can find it. I surely, certainly have a picture of it, maybe even on my phone, because I love taking pictures. I have pictures going back to 2013 on this phone. It's kind of insane. Every time I get a new phone, I have to get a larger capacity. That's why I'm so afraid to switch to whatever the other kind of phones that aren't iPhones. I was bummed that they got rid of that sign. It was on the furniture store. The sign was damaged a little bit, and then removing the sign gave them another show window, but the thing is that store is never open, and it's like open by appointment anyway, so it's not like people are gonna walk by. It's 2025, you're not gonna walk by, go home and call to make an appointment to go into a store. Because Loretta Young was smart, probably, and knew to invest in. If I could go back 100 years, I would totally invest in maybe this block right here. I think a lot of people did that, would invest in property. One of the places that we walked by today, which is actually something that's not there anymore, which called the Garden of Allah. So Alla Nazimova, a silent film star, built that whole hotel around her house, which became Hollywood's Camelot.
Wait.
The interesting thing is they tore down that Camelot, if you will, or the Garden of Allah in 1959, but they had a 18-hour party to close that building. 18-hour goodbye party. People were dressed in 1920s clothing. They drank the bar dry. Cecilia, I moved in to do none of those things. I visited California and my friend got married and moved from Boston to California, and she moved to Huntington Beach. And I came to visit her for her wedding, and I just never really was interested in California too much as a place to live, feeling like I'm a dyed-in-the-wool New Englander, but I was like, geez. I think he was asking her for a shortcut in Hollywood, like to get to in the movie theaters. Anyway, so my friend got married. I really loved being out here. I really loved Laguna Beach, actually, and thought, yeah, I'm gonna live here. I would have been bored out of my mind. It's beautiful, but I probably would have been bored out of my mind. And then a friend of mine was a nanny for some tech person in San Francisco, and she got a job offer, and I'm not going to tell you who the person is, but I'm going to give you enough information that you'll be able to figure this out by the timeline. So she got a job offer from a very famous actress and her husband to be the nanny for them. This job would mean that she would be out of the country a little bit, so she needed somebody to watch her dog. She would have to be at their house, I think, spending 5 nights, something crazy like that. And as we got closer and closer, I gave up my apartment. We found an apartment in Santa Monica. Thank goodness I never lived there. Not that I wouldn't want to live there, but I don't know. I love the way my life has turned out anyway, so no regrets. So the couple ended up getting divorced. I'm not sure what the reason was. He is remarried. No, he's not married now, but he got remarried pretty soon after that. She married a country star. He married a TV star for a little while, and I think he's single now. And why did Joan Crawford need a side apartment? For meeting up with Clark Gable? Anyway, so my friend ended up not getting the job because the couple divorced, and I had already given up my super cheap apartment in Boston and given my notice at work, so I just moved. Fortunately, I was able to transfer from one company to another company, so I had a job when I moved out here. But the unfortunate part was that I lived 50 miles from where I worked for the first month and a half. I think I don't have the type of personality where I would want to be like, I would want to like help the famous person or influence the famous person. You know who. Oprah, couch. That's all I'm gonna say. I didn't mention any names though, except Oprah. But you know what? A couple years later, coincidentally, I ran into the gentleman in the alley behind Hermes in Beverly Hills. That's where I always run into celebrities, by the way. And I thought about thanking him. He is really a tiny guy, though. I didn't walk it, Brave Bull. I took the train, actually. There's a train that you can take. I would take it from Fontana, and I would I would have to be to work at 9:30. I would get on the train at 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun wasn't out. There were dogs fighting in the barren fields all around this dusty train station. It had a little cafe that didn't open till, of course, 9. That had a sign that said, Dr. Pepper keeps you regular, and then the times you were supposed to drink the Dr. Pepper. I really loved being able to take the train and fall asleep versus driving and falling asleep, though, because it usually meant that I was going to arrive alive. But it was like I would wake up just to go back to sleep for 3 hours on a train. Not a way to survive, but I've got some drive. It was the Metro Link. But I was new to the city, so I really thought, like, I'm at Union Station. I'm going to explore Chinatown. I'm going to be down here for a couple of hours. I was, like, just looking at everything with brand new, fresh eyes, and it didn't matter that it was taking me 3 hours to go to work and from work. I mean, it did. I was really tired all the time. I started eating at Jack in the Box. Which, I got no problem with, but, like, we don't have Jack in the Box in New England, so. You know, every bad thing, there has to be a way to look at it in a different way, as looking at it as a way to get you to something else. And I'm not talking about really terrible, unsightly, bad things, but like little bumps in the road, like, oh, not having a roommate when you move out here. I mean, I feel lucky sometimes, but also like a survivor in a way, because I just mostly keep chugging along. Also, I'm going to say this, the copious amounts of vitamin D that you get from living here kind of make my depression anyway not last very long. I think I might have mentioned this before, not that I want to share or bore you with all my issues, but I used to get really sad in Boston or in New Hampshire, like in the wintertime. It wasn't like a full-on seasonal affective disorder, but just the lack of sunlight. You know, you'd get bummed about something and it would be a couple days. Before you would feel better about it. Now I get bummed out and then I just go outside and whatever. I'm kidding. It is definitely Friday in LA, although the rush hour traffic seems not so rushy or not so busy. Of course, everybody probably left on Thursday. I have no idea what time it is. What time is it? It is 10 of 6. I don't know what that first icon is. Thank you. I feel like we could be walking down Santa Monica, but I don't want to walk down Santa Monica too much because we are going to walk to Santa Monica, down Santa Monica, I think it's going to be next Saturday, and then we're going to take a Waymo back home live streaming. We want to go to Palm Springs soon, or up north and do a stream. I would love to do a driving stream. I just don't want... I would love to do let's leave it at that. I think the interesting thing, I also would love to do, there are a lot of, like when I try to prepare a route for walking, like on Fridays, there are a lot of interesting stories that I could tell if I got in and out of my car. I don't know, I see them all over the place, but usually they're just empty. There's sometimes a really nice farmer's market here a couple nights a week. I think it's Wednesday. I brought some cash so I could get like a drink, but I reached into my pocket and I only have dog poop bags, so I must have left my cash. I hate charging a water. Tijuana, interesting. You want to put me in some crazy situations. I barely speak Spanish. Like I can understand some words. Like if somebody telling me I look good, they'll say, "Hey, Mary Cones," right? And if they think I'm just a stupid person, it's gringo. So I get some Spanish. A donkey show. I don't believe in animals performing like circus acts. Poor little donkeys having to jump through hoops and stuff, or whatever a donkey show is. And I know what it is. But I want you to think I don't know what it is. We'll see what happens with our prescription savings. I'll tell you what, if my pills go from free or $3 to $800 a month again, I might consider going to Tijuana. Oh, Brave Bull's the best troll. He's the OGT. He's just trying to egg me on to new heights or lows. Look at that classic. Beat to cheese, but it still has no rust. So I might be skipping our weak network connection. Hey, thank you, Moody. Moody Dunbar. Glad to have you here. We are in almost Hollywood. We're in West Hollywood, with the Gateway, or the Edge. You guys might recognize this corner, so we're gonna end up at Fountain and La Brea. So this is where Edible Arrangements used to be. Oh golly. I'm so sorry. I think I would like to ride one of those, like, no hands skateboard things. I just think you look goofy. See, there we go. We were just talking about that, Ty. Didn't Johnny Carson ask her a question and her answer was take Fountain? I just don't remember the question. Something about a shortcut, but it was more like he wasn't asking her for a driving shortcut. He was like looking for a shortcut in Hollywood. I'll definitely do Union Station again. That area has a bunch of little hiccups, as we are having right now. There we go. So, sorry about that, we got a little spot there. So this shop up here on the corner was where Kat Von D had her TV show and Tattoo Parlor, but also Edible Arrangements was there. I love Highland Park. I wanted to do, because I did do 4K walking videos where I don't talk, and I wanted to do one in Highland Park. It was just really short. My favorite thing is a Tesla coming out of a gas station. Like, why did they have to go there? It's a corner shortcut, by the way. Well, that was her shop, and now it's a barber shop. Well, her shop wasn't on the end, that was Edible Arrangements. But it was like the second shop there. She was really kind of something for a while there. A real character. No, it was, her shop was it looks like there's a black and yellow, it's for lease. Hancock Park is this same area, but like below Melrose. So if we were to go right up here, we're gonna run into Paramount and Melrose and then Hancock Park. I really want to do a walk through Hancock Park because there's so many crazy mansions there. I don't know what happened. Something happened to Kat Von D, and she found religion. I don't think she's. I think she's had a life-changing experience. But more power to her. I hope she is living her best life. But I just really thought she was cool looking for a while. Like, not for a while, but I liked her look. So what drove her to that? Was she abusing substances? Like, I don't know. I saw an interview with her and how she talked about how she became a Christian. There are a few dog parks. There's one up by the Hollywood sign. There's one in Laurel Canyon. There's one in Silver Lake. In our neighborhood, there's a kids park, but we let our dogs off the leash there. It's a really dog-friendly city. I think there could be more dog parks, though. But you can bring your dogs almost anywhere. People bring their dogs into the gas station. The grocery store. I don't. I used to bring my dog into a grocery store then until I got in a fight with Franklin, the cashier, who told me that I needed to leave with my dog. Kinda. You just, maybe not hip areas, but areas that tend to have more money, have more trees, have more green spaces, grocery stores, and better sidewalks, to name a few things. So I was reading about, there's an article this morning that's like, LA is broke, and this is how you can tell. And they were talking about the sidewalks at some particular intersection that were raised like 3 feet in the air because of the roots. In my neighborhood, which is a less economically prosperous neighborhood, that's what all the sidewalks look like. All of the sidewalks are from the 1920s. And they planted these trees, which were inappropriate because they all rooted under the sidewalk. Well, the unfortunate thing about money having its perks is the health perk of it. Everybody should have green spaces and trees and shade. I could go on. Healthcare. Pills that don't cost $800. Money makes the world go round. So said Liza Minnelli in Cabaret. You know, I love the palm trees too, but when people don't take care of them, they're a mess. And then after I ate at Jack in the Box all the time in the Inland Empire, I then ate at this Jack in the Box when I moved into the city. But only once every 2 weeks. Just saying Jack in the Box. I'm thinking about the sourdough Jack. That was my burger. I do remember Pioneer Chicken. I feel like there's still a Pioneer Chicken somewhere, or the sign for it. The Fat Sal's doesn't look open. It looks like it caught fire. I think there's still another Fat Sal somewhere though. Really close to here, actually. There you go. This is a Hollywood schoolhouse, Little Red Schoolhouse. These parents are the worst drivers of all, just kidding. But I used to live in this neighborhood and they just park anywhere to let their kids out. But it's a really nice school. I can see the sign in my head. I feel like there's a freestanding Pioneer Chicken somewhere. Do you remember H Salt Fish and Chips? There's one around here. I don't think it's called H Salt Fish and Chips anymore, but I love fish and chips. Also, what's Long John Silver's? Did it have a Pioneer wagon on it though? Like a big sign with a Pioneer in the wagon? Or am I mixing my... We should be seeing some helicopters soon. When I lived in this neighborhood, the helicopters were constant. It was, again, the circus was open. This neighborhood was a little seedier. Neighborhood was a little more rundown. But I asked somebody, because all I knew from helicopters was the movie Set It Off. So I was like, what's going on here? And somebody told me that, like, when people are running away from the cops, they would jump from building to building. That's kind of crazy. So on Oscars, when we walked the other day, I don't know if you recall, we went down this street and there was a protest. They had arrested a bunch of people and there was a man screaming at the cops. I didn't realize until I watched it later, I probably should have turned the, whatever it's called, off. The sound... noise cancellation. I always can never remember that. Noise cancellation off because you couldn't hear what he was saying. And I think he had a bunch of valid points. I do think that the message was kind of getting lost though. Western and Hollywood Boulevard. So, Western and Hollywood Boulevard, we had a CVS, the train station. I feel like it might be on Vermont, the Pioneer Chicken. I'm gonna look it up when I get home. I'll put the Betty Davis picture up and then the address of Pioneer Chicken. And then maybe we can get some Pioneer Chicken. I don't know that I've ever eaten Pioneer Chicken. Yeah, the Ralphs and the TJ Marshalls, or whatever you call it. Homeworks, TJ Maxx, Petco. So I had a Korean fried chicken sandwich last week, and I really wish or the week before, and I really wish I had some Korean fried chicken, which I've had before, because the way they double fry it, it is so crispy and juicy. I'm gonna walk down to Santa Monica, even though I said I wasn't, because it's a little more exciting. Now, as I hit Santa Monica here, I am gonna check off for the night. I'm gonna take the bus the rest of the way home. I think I've made a full loop here. And thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for talking to me about music, rock and roll, Depeche Mode. I love that we all have similar tastes in music. It's really awesome. We'll be on tomorrow, live streaming, most likely from Hollywood. We'll check out the Chinese theater as we always do, or something interesting in that neighborhood, see how people are partying, and maybe get dinner at the Thai night market, because we love meat on a stick. So, I did not monitor my miles. I always forget. Maybe, but that was a lot of miles. My phone keeps track of them, but it only keeps track of them over the course of the day. So I just was looking for my phone in my pocket, and guess what? It's not there. So I will remember to do my mileage tomorrow, but thank you guys so much for being here with me. I really love doing this. I love being able to talk to you and show you stuff and actually learn stuff from you too. Hope to see you real soon, maybe tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Carrie. Carrie was the first one here today. Thank you so much.